All right, boom.
Hi.
The words of change hit him. Hopefully he's listening. I'm not sure if he's listening or not. Who knows? But he's our
Boom.
the astute Shane Chittum. And the words of Shane Chittum. Boom. Let's go. We're going live. Kenya Sloan.
Boom. Let's go.
Let's do it. What's going on? How we
Hey,
doing?
Hatch. How are you?
Everything's good. Can't
Good.
complain.
You're,
Everything's
you're coming out of what, wrestling practice right now?
yeah. Well, I use that term loosely. I've got I have we do have wrestling practice actually going on right now. Tuesdays, I leave my assistants in charge of practice. So yeah, Phil Anderson and Tito Navarro and Drew Nicholson, another
Mm-hmm.
old Tennessee guy. That's a name right there. A lot of Tennessee USA wrestling people will
Yeah.
definitely recognize. Yeah, yeah, he's been in the game for a while. Wrestled at UTC, wrestled Virginia Tech, and Tito wrestled at UTC in Cumberland, and Phil wrestled at Gardner Webb. So I've got pretty quality assistants.
Yeah. I mean, that's not surprising.
Yeah, I just try to again. I surround myself with better people. That's all I do. I just move out of the way. But yeah, welcome everyone. Everybody, hope everybody had a great week. Kenny and I here just started just chopping it up, and without even welcoming everybody. So we're gonna welcome
Where
everybody.
are our manners? Our Southern hospitality.
I know, where is it? Where is that happening? But yeah, what's up with you, Kenya? Everything good in your world?
Everything is good. Nothing crazy new. I got to hang out with some awesome wrestlers this week.
Yeah.
They had a developmental camp at the Olympic Training Center, and I'm right down the road, so super convenient. And our developmental coach, gave me a shout and asked me to come help out a little bit. And I mean, at first I was like, "You want me to, you want me to come out?" Because I'm like, surely there's far. I mean, not surely, but there's far more qualified people. But I mean, it was such an honor just to. I mean, A, to be around some of the best, high school wrestlers in the country on the female side, and then B, to be able to, like, as I'm transitioning into this coach role, like, just be able
Mhm.
to learn from not some of, but like the best wrestling coaches in the U.S. So it was a really cool week. We had Piper Fowler, so one of
Yeah. Now,
our
now to
hometown
backtrack,
heroes.
who's the women's developmental coach? Because obviously we're
Yeah,
going to have a pretty special guest, like everybody knows, that's coming on with Terry Steiner, who's the national team
yeah.
coach. But who's the developmental coach right now currently?
Jess Medina. She's been the developmental coach
Oh,
since
okay.
I was going through like the developmental stages of wrestling. So like in high school when I was in that little era, and so she was coaching me like whenever I would wrestle overseas, and like whenever I was competing at Pan American Championships, I went to these camps under Jess. So it was like pretty cool for full circle moment to have like she's seeing, little scared baby Kenya who's like never been out of the country, like go wrestle. All of a sudden, like she's coming back and asking me to like help her coach. So
Yeah.
makes I'm sure it makes her feel kind of old, but makes me feel old. But yeah, so no,
Yes, but
she's
it was
great.
good. It was good. You got to chat it up with an ex Tennessee wrestler
Yeah, so
quite a
Piper,
bit.
yeah, Piper. That was actually my first time ever meeting Piper. So if you guys know,
Really?
I mean, Piper Fowler, uh, world champ, what cadet? I think cadet world champion this past year.
I think it was 16U. She
16
was
years.
16U world champ. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I forget they changed the names of these now, but I mean, literally the best of the best coming from our state. So it's cool to have some Tennessee representation in the room, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's so cool to be in a room like that because you're the best in your room and your high school and your state maybe, and then you go to this place and you get to train with a bunch of other people who are like the best in their state also. So
Yeah. So let us in on like when USA Wrestling has a developmental camp at
mhm.
those like I mean at that age group. Like, obviously we'll get into more with Terry as far as what happens at the senior level, but as far as like at that age group, like what kind of you just kind of walk us through that a little bit. I guess who's you've already said who's invited, like all the best girls from all the
Yeah,
states, all the best age group kids. But how does it kind of flow?
yeah. So I'm not fully sure if there's a criteria on to like determine who is invited, but I mean, obviously, if you've made a world team in that year, if you've made a Pan American team in that year, or maybe in the years prior, then you're invited to these camps.
Gotcha.
So I mean, girls fly in from everywhere. They have a day, dedicated just to travel, and then they'll check in. They stay like on complex at the Olympic Training Center, which I think in and of itself is a great experience. I mean,
Oh yeah.
beyond getting to learn in the room, like just the experience of staying at the OTC and kind of seeing that lifestyle and like eating in the same cafeteria as like maybe some of like the Olympians you've looked up to for a while and stuff like that. I think it like at least for me, and I think it's true for the girls that go through now. Like it really helps you to kind of dial in and like really buy into like big long-term like goals and vision of your like wrestling career. So different days look different. Some of our sessions, normally it's like 2 sessions a day. Some of the sessions just like the developmental girls, and we just have practice like what's going on behind you probably, but we might focus on some focus areas that we as a country have been struggling through. That was kind of a theme that I noticed. Obviously Jess is coaching every day with Coach Steiner and Coach Katie Kriebel, who's our women's senior national team assistant coach. And so, I mean, there's like some things that they notice, like, as a country at the Olympics, this year, or at World Championships this year, like this is what we struggled with, like as a country. And it's cool to like have that insight in that room and bring it back to the girls, like from a young age. So there's a few times they even get to practice with the senior level girls. I think they maybe had 2 practices this camp where they got to practice with the senior level girls, which is also super cool and nerve wracking, of course, if you're 16 years old and and you're thinking about going to ask Adeline Gray to drill with you, which was my situation when I was 16.
That's true.
So yeah, it's a great experience. The girls, I think, become so close. It's another way for them to like connect with different girls throughout the country. They're staying in the dorms together. They're eating together. They're going to practices together. So yeah, it's cool all around. This one was kind of short. It was like 4.5 days, I think. So we maybe did like 8 to 10 sessions in that throughout camp. So, but yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, I think that wrestling's always been, I mean, obviously I've been around for a while, 30 plus years of coaching alone. And this was even before, I guess, you start to kind of notice it as a competitor a little bit, and especially as a coach. I mean, like finding success at our national level, I've always said it was very, very cliquey. It's like there's a certain group of, there's a certain group at your age group or in your weight class, like, or the weight classes around you. And if you want to, know when you're really good, you better get in that group where you're actually recognizable. You know what I'm saying? I was actually explaining this to one of my really, really good friends when he was getting his kid, ready. And he was in the middle school, like late middle school, 7th grade, 8th grade. And he was asking me about taking the kids to these national events. What's a good age? And I said, well, as soon as you can get them in that clique to where, the really good kids on the national level, like your top, let's just say 4 or 5 kids in the national level say, okay, well, I got so-and-so, I got Tommy. I'll most likely have Tommy in the quarters and Timmy in the semis, and most likely, Sean in the finals. If you're recognizable, if they can recognize you in the bracket, if they know that, okay, they can kind of point you out in the bracket. Okay, you're starting to get in that club a little bit. If they don't know you and they're not anticipating wrestling you at some point in time in that tournament, then you got some work to do. So the only way to do is you get yourself to these national events and you start knocking off so-and-so and so-and-so, and then they start recognizing, oh, that's so-and-so, he beat so-and-so last weekend, because they all know. And so now, just like what I'm getting from these national team camps at that age group is really, is a similar concept, where, these girls all know each other now. I mean, they know that, hey, this is so-and-so from Washington, this is so-and-so, and then when the new girl steps in the blocks, wait a second, so-and-so, she beat so-and-so, that's why she's, so the way it works, so if you're not recognized, then you ain't in the clique.
I know.
You're not in the group. So you better get to work, get yourself in the group.
True.
It's kind of the way it works. But that's cool. That's a great experience. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, that's probably one of the perks of living out there in Colorado Springs.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. Around those athletes. So yeah, we actually had a really cool event here in our little old state of Tennessee last week. Really super excited about it. And I'm super excited to have our guest on in a little bit, but I'll kind of give you my recap on a little bit. We had a Clubfest here in Tennessee last weekend. And so Sean Russell, who's going to be joining us here in a second, basically organized this from the jump, and did a fantastic job. And I think we anticipated 10 teams joining us. I think we ended up with 9, I believe. Actually, no, ended up 10. I know what we had. We had Grindhouse, who they're located in Georgia. This was basically, it was a club fest for it's a training opportunity for some of the better clubs in the southeast part of the country to get together and train, for a day. So basically what happened is we had all these clubs come together at the wrestling building in Cleveland, Tennessee. And we kind of rotated the schedule around to where it was just a training day. So we did 3 2-hour sessions. The first 2 sessions were just technique. So basically a coach from each one of the clubs would show 20 minutes of technique, whatever technique they kind of wanted to show. And then we just rotate the coaches around. So all the kids would get a chance to see like one representative from each club. And then the third session was all live matches. So, and we had 190 kids there. It was
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah. Was there
was,
enough? Was it crowded, or was there like
it
ample?
was very crowded. Yes,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
very crowded. We had it in the main Jones building, and then also we used the little baseball whatever batting cage area, whatever
Okay.
next door. Put another bat in, but it was crowded, but it was good. It was a good crowded. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
not having any kids there, but we had Grindhouse Wrestling Club there from Georgia. Ground Zero is from Middle Tennessee here. Pedraza was from Georgia as well. Tennessee Wrestling Academy, which is up in Knoxville, East Tennessee area. Compound from Atlanta was there. Of course, the Minion Training Center, who Sean is a coach of, he's going to be joining us here soon. They're from Chattanooga. Level Up, they're a North Georgia team. Our Young Guns Nashville team, then of course Cleveland, which is Higher Calling Wrestling Club, was obviously in attendance, and then Stronghold from Birmingham, Alabama. So just with those alone, and we all wanted to try to make it a point to bring 15, 20 kids, and we easily eclipsed that. So it was it was a great event, and then we're going to do some stuff moving forward. Here having some more events moving forward with this group, and also adding in other groups. So we're pretty excited. We're really excited about what's going to go on with it, and the possibilities of it. Just because we could do it in the state of Tennessee, but when you start adding clubs from Georgia and clubs from Alabama, and people traveling to one specific location, it makes for a great training environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so similar to the experience that I had this week too. It's like how you were saying, like there's kids in your bracket, no matter where you are, where you know that name, or this person beat this person, and in a way, it's kind of a way to like break down those barriers, and you get to like learn from the people who might have been beating you over and over again, or the one person in your bracket who's always winning that you've never got to wrestle. So, I mean, it's kind of cool that we've got like the same concept and experience here, just on like a more local versus national level.
Yeah, no, it was, like I said, it was great, and we had some absolute hammers going at it in the room. I mean, we had a lot of our teams. I mean, I think a lot of our clubs had some seniors or some older, I guess, some either juniors or seniors that were doing some recruiting stuff on the weekends. Which is sometimes kids are going to have some things pop up. So if we would have even had those guys in the room, it'd be even more competitive. But we had guys like Drew Gorman, who's on the verge of making whatever Division I announcement wherever he's going to go. He's multiple time Fargo All-American, basically placed at every national tournament known to man out of Georgia. Great kid, going against wrestling matches with the Poe brothers from Alabama, who are national caliber kids. We had plenty of those going on all throughout the day, like that, just that type of stuff, like kids national champs like Maddox High wrestling, Dylan Villers, that type of stuff. It's just, we just had a really, really great, it was a really great training session. Really was. It was awesome. So excited about it. But I guess, I think we'll move forward here and let Coach Russell get on and kind of brag a little bit about it and kind of see what kind of spurred this whole thing and kind of go from there. So let's welcome this guy to the stage.
What's up? What's up?
Hello.
Right there. What's happening?
Not a whole lot, man. How are y'all?
We're good. Sean, this is Kenya Sloan, my co-host, much smarter.
You got to quit doing it this way.
Personable co-host. I needed to get on and add a little bit of spice to this podcast so people would actually.
I like it.
Thanks for joining us, Sean.
Yep. Yeah, this is Sean Russell. He's the head coach and brainchild behind the Minion Training Center, and was the obviously the brainchild behind last weekend's Clubfest, which was pretty awesome. So just give us a little rundown, Coach, about kind of really, I mean, obviously, like I said, I mean, I give you all the credit. You're the one that put this thing together. I was just happy to be part of it. When did you start thinking about this?
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. And it was a collective, and I'm glad that the other coaches and people were able to get together and, kind of willing to get together more so. And I kind of started thinking about it during preseason, was setting up my preseason schedule and just looking how it's like, there's only national tournaments, and you kind of got to travel a long way to get good competition. I just was like, man, I need something for my guys to wrestle in where we don't have to go all the way to Michigan, or we don't have to go to Iowa for preseason nationals. And I was like, man, we have so much good wrestling in the South right now. Every club has hammers, and especially a lot of the clubs that were at Clubfest, they all have hammers, all of them. And there's other clubs in the Southeast too that have other hammers who aren't there. And I was like, man, if we can find a way to get these coaches in a room and get these guys in a room and let them wrestle and I can watch, like, that's what I need as a coach, is to see my guys wrestle other guys. And then that's how you get data. That's why we go to tournaments. That's why we sit in sit in the corner and coach. So I think this is a way where we can get our guys there where they're not wrestling each other every day. They also get to hear instruction from other coaches like yourself and Coach Pitts and Zeke Moisey and other great guys. I had three kids in practice tonight show me something like, this is what Zeke showed me this at whatever. I was like, man, that's awesome. Like, that is super cool. So yeah, it started off with more of a competition based thing. Like, man, my guys need something to wrestle in, and then it kind of materialized into Clubfest, So yeah, I was excited. I thought it went well.
No, I agree. I mean, it was great. I mean, we had 190 kids, and out of those 190, I mean, there was a lot of really, really, really good talent. What do you think about the talent that was in the room on Saturday?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I was really impressed with. Thought Shad had some hammers. I was impressed with Isaiah Poe's little brother, and he might want to kill me for saying it that way, but I actually do not know his first name. But he looked really solid, and he wrestled really well. That was one guy I thought stood out. Obviously, Gorman. Mm-hmm. Cleveland had several. Yeah, I just thought the intensity was good, man, and the live was good, and I got to see a lot as a coach. I mean, technically, the biggest thing I saw, and it was good I got to see it, was I thought we really struggled on bottom. Mm-hmm. And kind of getting to see that, it kind of made me feel like it was big time worth the event, like getting to really see that with other guys, and that we're not just struggling with our own guys, we struggle on bottom, period. So yeah, it was good, man. I felt like it did served its purpose, so.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's really refreshing too, just because, and all three of us have been in this world, as far as from a wrestling perspective, and a lot of times egos get the best of a lot of, clubs, and a lot of, that's in there. A lot of, I mean, we come from, I think everybody's been around those programs and around these type of situations where they just want to stay. No, we're going to stay with our own people and our own guys. We're going to get it done with that. We're not going to branch out. We're not going to get together for these type of training things. And this was totally the opposite. We're talking, I think we ended up with 10 clubs there.
Yeah, I think we had 10 clubs there.
10 clubs there, and really no ego. I mean, everybody awesome. Welcomed really welcomed the challenge for one, and just the camaraderie, I guess you can call it, from two, as far as getting together. Was it a little bit difficult, getting people on board with this type of concept, or was it pretty much, no, let's do it?
I wouldn't say it was difficult. I would say that when I made the group chat originally, like, people had different ideas for sure. Mm-hmm. And I had to be humble. I had to drop my ego as well and really listen to what other people wanted to do also, and not just be like, no, this is my idea and I want to do it this way. And, like, people had good ideas, and some of them that I listened to and I was a little hesitant about doing it that way, I wound up being glad that I listened and that we did it that way. So I think, and like I said, it was a collective. Everybody had different ideas on there. We wound up kind of, at first kind of started off as being a wrestle fest, which we had talked about. Yeah. Kind of transpired into a club fest, and yeah, it just, one thing kind of led to another, and I didn't think it was too hard, but yeah, I think everybody in that group chat lowered their ego a little bit and made some sort of compromise, and I think that's why we got to do it.
For sure. Yeah, just a little backtrack, Kenya. Last year we did what we call the Wrestle Fest last year. It was about the same time of the year. It's about the same time. Yeah. And we did it at Baylor in Chattanooga. And we basically just invited everybody. Anybody could pay. I think we charged $50, $75, whatever the case was for that day of training. Same kind of concept. But it was open to whoever really kind of wanted to go. This year, Sean came up with a really good idea as far as really kind of limiting to it. Sorry. To just club memberships. I mean, they had to be a part of these clubs because I think it probably, and I'll let Sean kind of elaborate on it, but just getting, when you give the clubs a kind of quote unquote ownership in it, now they're a little bit more willing to help out. Now we have that many more coaches to really kind of rotate the technique sessions. What was kind of the brainchild and the thinking behind maybe just going and make it some sort of exclusivity with it?
Yeah, At first, I just, I didn't really care about that at first. I really just wanted to like really get to see my guys wrestle live. And I can't remember who really started talking about like, hey, let's make it free, but let's make it that you have to be a part of I can't remember who, but it was in that group chat. It was in the discussion. Um, and I didn't really know at the time how good that would be. That was one of those things that I was like, maybe that'll work, maybe it won't, but hey, this is the way these guys, kind of want to do it. And I was like, I'll do it this way this first time. Let's see how it goes. And no, I really liked it. And I think there was a sense of club pride too there. It's like, hey, Team Minion, we're going to the Clubfest and we're going to compete against these other local clubs that you all know of. And I think like I didn't have to hard sell any of my guys. My guys were very excited to go and looking forward to it and asking me questions about it. And instead of it just being a normal, like, yep, it's $100 to go, or $150 to go, whatever it is. I think having like associating that club pride with it a little bit and saying like, hey, this is our Minion team and we're going and your Young Guns team is coming and Cleveland's coming and Level Up are coming and Stronghold's coming. It's like, that sounds a little bit better than just like, people, there's going to be a lot of people there or whatever. So I think club pride, that helped. And I think you felt honored. I think if you were in one of those clubs, you're like, heck yeah, man, I'm a part of this Club Fest and my coach got me into this thing. And yeah, man, like, not everybody gets to go, thank God I'm signed up under Young Guns Nashville or I wouldn't have gotten to go. And we had to turn people away, and I had people unhappy, like, why would you exclude people from this event? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, we're not excluding people from the event. We're just saying, we're trying to focus on our club guys, and it's hard work us getting all 20 of those guys to an event. So we're really just putting our time and resources into getting those guys to this event. And your club coach can reach out and try and get in. But I do think that setup made more sense than doing it the other way, for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like I said, and I know that, we did it, the different way last year, which was a successful event as well.
Yeah.
But this really, what this did is I know from my perspective was really put a lot of hustle behind me and a little bit of pressure on me where I got to get kids here. If I'm going to be putting my club logo on this and I'm going to be a part of this, we aren't showing up with rolling in 3 deep. Just, I don't care if we're 2.5 hours away from Cleveland or not. You better get your butts there. And that's just the way it is. That's part of that's one of the perks of being a part of this, Young Guns program here in Middle Tennessee. And don't give me this excuse you can't make it or it's too far, or you don't feel like going to Cleveland because, shoot, I mean, we got people driving from Birmingham, Alabama to get there. So I don't want to hear it.
Yeah. I mean, how many
unless you're on the beach somewhere because we're at fall break. That's we had 20 kids there. We still had 20 kids, but we also had fall break start. So it was like, I was kind of like, dang, all right, well, I hope I can get them. But, but these were true 20 very dedicated kids. So we're like, listen, if you aren't on the beach, you're not fall break, you better be in Cleveland. That's all I got to say.
For sure. No doubt. And I think too, like, the club coaches rotating and us having like 10 clubs there and then the coaches just rotating groups that whole time, you are getting so much like good technique, and in 20-minute segments, like you're really gonna be able to pick up 1 or 2 things from each guy. And instead of going to a camp where it's one clinician teaching 4 sessions or 5 sessions, like you're getting different opinions, different aspects of the sport. People are saying the same things in different ways, which to me is always huge. As a coach, like, I really like too that the first session we had 5 clubs going. I got to walk around to every group, and then the second session, like people were walking around. In that first session, I learned like 3 things just walking around, watching other coaches teach things. Like some of them were the same things I showed, but I'm like, oh man, I don't really like elaborate on that much, or he's doing this with his shoulder or this or that. So I think also there's a concept of it where like we can really learn from each other as coaches, and like I learn from my wrestlers sometimes, and I know you're the same way. Like most coaches are that way. Like, you don't have to quote unquote be like way better than me or way worse than me. Like no matter what it is, I can always learn from people. And I think that was cool about the event too. Like I really got to learn something, not just show up to an event, watch my guys wrestle live and go home. Got to learn, got to see a lot of different things. And it was just unique, felt unique, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, like I said, I liked it.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, everyone does wrestling camps or just one person will go from your club, but it sounds cool because it almost builds camaraderie in a way. Like, it's one thing, like when you and, all of your best bros that you're training with every day, like go to this tournament together or you duel with your high school versus just like, you deciding to go do a tournament or a camp by yourself. And then, I mean, also how you were talking about like, there's all these new things that they got to learn. And we all know sometimes you go to a camp and you're like, man, I learned so much stuff that like I really enjoyed and I want to go back in my room and learn it. But like, no one else in my club or no one else on my team was like the same thing. But now it's like, hey, do you remember that stuff that we learned like at this one session? Like, let's take it back and work on it together. I feel like that creates a very unique learning experience too, versus just like you trying to figure it out by yourself later on.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a great point. Great point. And yeah, and I think it held the kids' attention good too. Like you got 10 clinicians rotating every 20 minutes. Yeah. And I get it. It is hard to sit there and drill 1 or 2 or 3 things for 2 hours. I mean, as much as I love wrestling, it's hard. It's hard for me to do it. I get it, but you got a new clinician coming in with brand new energy and brand new concepts every 20 minutes. I mean, we all know, kids struggle to hold attention for a long time. Like I just said, I do too. But I think that's a way too to help
kids and 50-year-old adults. So let's not exclude my population there, Sean.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah, no, it was good, and again, I mean, I get back to the accountability point of the coaches because I mean, shoot, I had to. I mean, if I was going to be there, and if my Young Guns Club was going to be there, and I was going to be teaching, I mean, I need to be there. That's just the way it was. I mean, it's getting easier now. And people are getting so busy and they get a weekend off, they get whatever, they have other things going on the weekend. Takes time to say, well, you know what? I mean, maybe not. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I know it from a personal standpoint. I had to make sure I was there. I had some other things planned I had to cancel, and it is just what it is because I want to make sure that the kids in my school, in my club, know that this type of concept with getting together with other clubs is very, very important to me and our Young Gun staff that they attend stuff like this. I just think it's just very, very important. So
no, absolutely, man. I thought it was good. Looking forward to the next one, and man, like we talked too, it's like you're basically combining somewhat a tournament and a camp together. And this past time it was free. And we're talking about adding a small cost possibly, but still nothing even close to what you pay to go to Kalamazoo, Michigan, and possibly wrestle 2 matches. You don't get any technique, and to talk about, this being like 4 hours of technique and then 5 or 6 matches, and you're guaranteed those matches no matter what. I think it's a no-brainer when the parents really start looking at it.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, it's just, when you're getting, like you said, the technique, the training, but then in addition, when we start getting our competition part of it, I mean, like I said, I'm just without saying too much because we'll get everything tightened up. We'll get back on, we'll jump back on to do another promo and stuff, but without getting too much into it, Kenya.
Yeah.
Sean and I and the other people that stick around after the session on Saturday have some really, really good things coming down the pipe, and we're really excited about it. And I think it's just going to help wrestling in the South. It's just all it's going to do.
I think so.
Make all the clubs better, and like I said, I know just talking to the parents, talking to the coaches, they were super happy about it. I know we got a couple comments in here. Chris Grassman's pretty impressed with it. So awesome. Shout out there, Chris. It's some of the best wrestling in the country in one room. So I like hearing that. That's good. There we go. And then, of course, your girl, Delilah Queen. Just she just said hi, Kenya. So with like 4 A's, of course. I think Kenya's got to start opening up these comments so she can, because most of them are for her anyway.
Oh my goodness!
Ain't nobody. I'm irrelevant these days. So, but awesome. Well, good. Well, Coach Russell, man, we appreciate your time and awesome work on this, man. Like I said, I think again, I couldn't be more excited about what we have going down here in the future, as far as these training situations and these events that we're gonna be putting on, and like I said, that was all spurred from you, man, and like I said, we really appreciate that. Not only that, but all the hard work and things you're doing for the South and wrestling in Tennessee in general. So we really appreciate you, man.
I really appreciate that, Mike, and thanks for your support coming back. And man, thanks for having me on, and really looking forward to the future with you, man.
You got it, my man. Always good seeing you, brother.
All right, bye, Sean.
Bye.
Yeah, he's doing a great job, man. I mean,
cool.
He's a great dude. He's awesome. Yeah, he's been here for 2 years now, and I think 2 years. But he's also the head coach of the RTC South, at Chattanooga. So Sean's been doing a fantastic job. I mean, just
this type of event is unheard of. I mean, for me at least, and it's so like people and events like this is what's going to make eventually like athletes from the South are going to be proud to be like, yeah, I wrestled in Tennessee or I wrestled in Alabama. You know, this is where I'm from. Like there's other states where people are like, oh, I wrestled here, and you automatically like raise your eyebrow.
Yeah,
and we're onto that way super quick. I feel like.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's just it's having good people come in the South and think of great ideas like that, and just just kind of showcase our wrestling. And you're gonna be getting I don't know. I mean, like moving forward here, I think like with all these who's number one events, and now we have this Clubfest and WrestleFest, and now Kenya's like, wait a second, I didn't have that when I was competing in Tennessee. Deal.
I've been jealous already.
Shoot, we have to. Maybe you might be coming out of retirement or something. I don't know. You never know. I might get like be spark.
As much as my heart might want to, sometimes my knees, shoulders, and hips tell me I'm not.
Shoot, I tell you right now, there's well, if you're one person that's not coming out of retirement, I can tell you there's another one on this screen taking retirement.
Is he?
I'm old. I'll be 51 in a couple of weeks, and I wasn't very good in wrestling to begin with. So being old and not very good at wrestling is not a very good combination. So that ain't happening.
I'd say the age thing might be the only thing to disqualify you.
Yeah, well, like I said, we're gonna switch gears here a little bit to the women's side.
Yeah, hard turn.
And not that we didn't have anything. I mean, we had a lot of girls showing up to the Clubfest last week, which was awesome. But we figured we'd backtrack a little bit. We just recap the World Championships this year. The USA.
Yeah.
Of course, our USA women's team is, man, we're just they're awesome. I mean, just what's went on there since my boy Terry Steiner took over in quite some time. I'm gonna give him a little shout out. I know he's waiting here in the waiting room to pop on here, so we'll let him on here in a second. I'll let him brag on him a little bit, but
yeah,
on that women's side, it's so awesome, just seeing what's going on there, and we really haven't had a chance, like you were saying. You mentioned, a week or so ago that we haven't had a chance to recap the Worlds, and I was like, shoot, that's right, we haven't, just because of the events we've had going on to Tennessee with obviously the Who's Number One, and then we had our initial podcast, and then of course the grappler and stuff like that going on in the World last week. Finally got a little free time here, in our schedule. So I'm gonna let you kind of make a decision. We can either pull Terry on, and you guys can go up and down the USA results and kind of pick his brain and see what's up there, or you can go ahead and give us results, and then we can bring him in. How you want to do it? You tell me.
This is too much pressure for me. Let's go ahead and bring Terry on, so that way he can. Or did I give it away? We already said who it was.
We've been listen. I'm not doing no surprise guests no more. I'm going to throw it out there. These are the guests that are coming on, and when you got a guy like Terry Steiner, people know you're coming on. Then that's just going to give us more views.
Oh yeah, I'd hop on.
That's just the way it works. And then pretty soon we're going to have this monster podcast, and then I won't have to really do anything, and I can just kind of retire, because that's just the way it works. That's
sure.
So
but it starts by having wonderful people like this coming on our podcast.
Yes, sir. Well, let's quit talking about it. Let's get him on here. There he is. There he is.
Hello.
Coach Terry Steiner.
Hey, what's going on?
Thanks so much for joining us. This is probably one of our first guests where Hatch didn't have to introduce him to me, or I didn't have to introduce him to Hatch, because we both know you a little bit, at least in some way.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you're old.
I find myself very fortunate here, Kenya. I'm just going to tell you, because I was always too small to wrestle Terry when we were teammates. So I didn't really fare very well against his smaller brother, Troy. I only wrestled him a couple times. And I didn't fare too well against anybody really in the room, but I know I wouldn't have fared too well against Terry. That's for sure. Size, technique, strength, just a better wrestler overall. I mean, so you just
sent your brother after me.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he fared very well either. Because I think that, as good as coach as Terry Steiner is, and as good as an organizer as he's put, and the job that he's done on the women's side, he was a pretty dang good wrestler back in the day, Kenya. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I've gone back and seen some of the footage.
Yeah.
Quite the same camera quality we have these days.
Many moons ago.
Yeah.
The older you get, the tougher that you were,
Is that right? That just tells you how bad at wrestling I was, because I just keep telling you how I wasn't very good, Kenya. So if you get tougher and you get better, the older you get, you just imagine like I said. So, but no, man, thanks so much for joining us, man. This is a huge honor. We really appreciate you getting on, making time.
No, well, thank you, Mike. And I just want to thank you, I mean, for so many things, but, it doesn't surprise me that you're leading the charge there in Tennessee, because that's the kind of guy you were even back in our Iowa days, right? You were there for your teammates. You were there for people that needed help, whether it was an extra workout or just someone to talk to. And so it doesn't surprise me at all that you're doing what you're doing in Tennessee, and great things. And because of that, and because of a lot of good people like you and like the people in your state, we're in a position as a national organization and a national program, right? I can't emphasize enough that we can't do our jobs here at the national office and with the national program without people doing things on the local level and the state level. And the growth that we've had is really second to none, right? And it just continues to grow, not just in women's wrestling, but overall, USA Wrestling numbers just continue to grow. And that, we a lot of times take the credit for that, but really it's the people in the grassroots level that are opening up the opportunities for young kids and young women, young girls in the state and local levels that give us the opportunity to, be in the position we're at as a national program, right? And so, I just want to thank everyone in the state and around the country at the grassroots levels and in the state associations for the work that they do, because really you guys do a lion's share of the work, and we get a lion's share of the credit, right? And so thank you, all of you. So
no, we appreciate that. That. Our pleasure, man. Sir, and it's great to serve such great leaders like yourself and Bill Zadek, of course. And it's it's awesome because we're ex teammates too. So I'm like, yeah, man, that's cool, man. Shoot, I'm helping out a couple of my boys, so it's good. Yeah, all guys are not. So, but I figured you and Kenya can chop it up a little bit about about our world's performance, and I know Kenya had her part of this show all planned up and ready to roll. So, what do you got, Kenya? Come on, what do you got?
Oh yeah. Well, I want to introduce Coach. I mean, I feel like we've kind of touched on it a little bit. I mean, Hatch knows Coach Steiner more as the 3-time All-American, NCAA champ, and teammate from Iowa, but I know Coach Steiner as USA Women's Senior National Team coach. So we got to, super ironically that we're joining on this week, because you and I got to touch base a little bit this past week with like a developmental camp. We touched a bit about that at the beginning of the podcast, but really we want to drag you in here and talk a little bit about World Championships. So like review some of the results really quick, but more than that, afterwards we might just pick your brain, because it's such an honor to have a guest like you on our podcast. So yeah.
I wanted to say a funny story about that, I've been around for so long now. It's 21 years now that I've been in the position I'm in, and you just assume that people know you. And we had a development camp here this past weekend, but we had one earlier in the spring, and one of the girls came up after practice, and Coach Jess Medina runs our development system, and I just assist and help where she needs help. And she asked me to come in that day and show some technique, and I came in, and after practice, one of the girls grabbed me, and we're working, and she's asking me to work on some stuff. So we're working for like 20 minutes, and after the 20 minutes of working, the girl goes, "Well, thanks for the help. Who are you?" And I said to Jess, it's funny because I said it's not. We assume people know who I am, but some of these girls, they don't know. I'm just some gray-haired guy that's showed some techniques, so they don't know who we are. And then another story, we were at the Olympic team camp in Atlanta before the 2021 Olympics, and Kennedy Blades was there, and Kennedy's one of our rising stars, and at the time I think she made her first cadet or world team, junior world team, I think that year. And I don't know, before this practice started or at the end of one practice, Kennedy asked Coach Medina, "How old is Coach Steiner?" And Jess was like, she goes, "I don't know. How old do you think he is?" And she's like, "I don't know, 78."
No.
And so, yeah, so if you ever get too, big for your britches, the athletes can knock you back down to size.
Oh my goodness. I mean, that would be the biggest compliment if you were really 78.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing well for
Automatically.
78, like,
You're doing really well.
Look great, Terry. Man, geez,
Yeah.
keep it up.
Man, that's so funny. Even
Yeah.
this week, whenever I was, on the mat with you, like Jess kind of passed the torch to you one day, and he just brings all the girls in and starts talking. And I think it was the first session you had run in camp that past week, and I like had to interrupt you, and I was like, "Well, Coach, does everyone know who you are?" I'm like, I feel like we should be aware whenever we're in the presence of someone so amazing, or just like you said, some of these girls are probably like, "Oh, there's this random guy with gray hair coming to speak about it." But, automatically your words hold weight whenever someone knows who you are and what you do. So, yeah. Well, those are funny. Thanks for sharing with us.
Yeah, man.
Okay, really quick, just diving into what happened a few weeks ago at World Championships. Let's not go into some of the individual super small results, but like as a team, we took second place. We came behind Japan. I looked at the team scores. So Japan had 195. We had 135. Third place was Mongolia, but every team underneath us hadn't even scored like 100 points. That was a pretty big gap. And I didn't do much research. I thought I would ask you, like, is that a pretty normal pattern that we see? Like, is it normally these two teams up top and everyone else is like just, trying for scraps to catch up?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, Japan at the top has been, pretty consistent, right? And we've been in the top three now since 2012, right? Definitely China, Ukraine, Russia, Mongolia. I mean, those are very tough programs and tough national organizations. I think we have separated ourselves a little bit. I mean, China is always going to be tough. They have numbers, right? And it comes down to a numbers game. And I think that's why, really, when we look at the U.S. women's program right now, why really we are the envy of the world, right? And because they see our growth at the state level, and they see our growth at the collegiate level, and with our collegiate being freestyle, I mean, they know that that should bode well for our national team in years to come, and it really should. I mean, and I do think, and I've said this for a while now, that I do think that there will come a time when U.S. dominates the world of women's wrestling. I mean, I just think we have too much infrastructure. Our numbers are growing too fast. I mean, really, if you look at the growth that we've had since in 2016, we had 6 states that were sanctioned in the sport of girls high school wrestling.
Wow.
Today we're at 43.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
and in 2016, we had about
2016.
2016.
Wow.
Yeah, and in 2016, we had about 40 to 45 collegiate programs, and today we're at over 150.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So with those opportunities that are opening up and there for girls, I mean, it's going to continue to grow. I mean, we went from 36,000 on our numbers from last year to this year, from 36,000 to 53,000, almost a 50% growth rate. Right. And we really don't see those numbers slowing down, because once states sanction, they just multiply a lot faster, the numbers within those states. Because I think that, the greatest thing is, I think that people outside of the sport, whether it's administrators, parents, the people that are really opening up these doors, they're seeing the value of the sport of wrestling on our youth. And because of that, they're pushing their kids towards it, or at least presenting the opportunity to them, where maybe 10 years ago they weren't doing that, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's really a great thing to be a part of, and there's so many people, again, that deserve that credit, right? Because there's so much groundwork to be done for those kind of things to happen, and so it's just it's a great thing. And as far as the world scene, it's changed. It's consistently changed, and it's gotten more competitive and tougher. But we're definitely ahead of that curve right now. But Japan's not going to lay down, right? I mean, Japan has heroes, right? And in the country of Japan, women's wrestling is a big deal, and their girls are heroes in that country, and they have expectation, right? There's an expectation there that when they step on the mat at the World Championships as a Japanese national team member, that there's going to be results, right? And you know, we're definitely closing the gap, but they're not going to fall down, right? We're going to have to find a way to climb over them, and you know, and I'm, you know, everyone's like, you know, some people get in that mindset of hating Japan and this. Not at all. Like, let's thank them. Let's be grateful for them, because they're making us be at our best, right? And when the day comes when we do overtake that top spot, we're going to know what we've accomplished, and it's going to be very satisfying for a lot of people, right? And so, but hopefully it comes before I have white hair, right?
Yeah.
But I, you know, I mean, there's so many good things about the World Championships, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of tough teams out there, and it's not getting easier just because we have more numbers and this and that. I mean, it's not getting easier, but we have some great leadership on this team, right? And they're doing a great job of pulling up that next generation of people, and you know, and they're doing a great job of leading from the front, right? And so I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yeah. And, you know, you keep passing on the credit so much to a lot of what we're doing locally, and talking about how so much of this growth is coming from, you know, like the ground level and like local clubs and high schools and teams and things at the state level. But I mean, what I knew plenty before, but I think it is like worth mentioning how I think we have so much gratitude to give to you, because you could so easily, like just being at camp this week, and whenever I was young and going through these developmental camps, you know, like I got to learn from our senior women's national team coach. And I don't know if that's, you know, true in every country, but I think it would be so easy for you to be like, you know, this is my national team, and this is who I'm pouring in and developing into now. But it's like, we have leadership like you that sees like the big picture of our growth as a country. And I just think it's so cool that we have people like you and Coach Jess Medina and, you know, Coach Katie, to be able to like not just pour into the girls that are on the team or maybe close to making the team, but pouring into 15, 16, 17-year-old girls, knowing that, you know, eventually this will be our national team. This will be our world team. This will be our Olympic team. And I don't know if every country gets to have that same opportunity as well. So we have so much, you know, so much to say thank you to you for. And we were talking before we even brought you on. I was telling Hatch, you know, he was asking me like how camp went. And one thing I thought was so cool is how, you know, Coach Jess, and then you, whenever you were helping us too, you were talking about, you know, these are some of the issues that we're facing, like, you know, large scale as a country. You know, we were talking about being able to shut down a match when you need to, and knowing when to do it and how to do it. And I just thought it was so cool to be able to learn, you know, these are the things we struggle with, like, as, you know, our U.S. women's national wrestling team. And let's start teaching it to our 15, 16, 17-year-old girls, so that maybe, you know, it's their time to be representing us on a world stage. So they've got some of these skills already. And I feel like that might be pretty unique to our country. I don't know if everyone gets that same opportunity.
Well, I mean, I guess I've always looked at myself more as a development coach. I mean, I've really, that's where my heart is, right? I mean, I before I was in this position, I was a state coach for the state of Wisconsin, and really that's where my heart is. It's teaching and getting to those young kids and making a difference. And I think that, you know, the coaches in the state, at the state level and the local level and the club level, don't underestimate how important your job is, right? I mean, I think that at that age, you're giving so much, and those kids are so open to learn. We'd like to think that people are listening all the time, right? But we have very few moments where kids are listening, right? Very few opportunities where they're really going to take something in and listen to what you say. And at that level, at that, you know, that teenage level, that 15, 16, 17, 18, I mean, that's the formative years in this sport. And you can make such an impact at that level. And so I really enjoy that level, right? I mean, I enjoy working with that, and I always have enjoyed working with that level. And that's, you know, that's our future, right? We can't win with Adeline Gray forever, right? I mean, her time is going to be coming to an end, and soon enough. So, you know, after maybe 10 more years. No, I'm just kidding.
Never know her. She's
but
kicking butt in world stage forever.
but we have to continually be, you know, we need that push from behind. I mean, as much as, you know, we have leadership at the top, we also need that push from underneath, and those young kids coming in and doing the right things, right? And and having the right mindset. And so it's really an honor for me to be in front of those kids. I want to be in front of those kids. It's important for our development. Right?
Yeah, of course.
No, it's cool to see like right now, like even like when you watch the world team trials and on the girls side, Olympic trials on the girls side now, for on the guys side, it's been happening for a number of years where if you want to make the world team, you want to make the Olympic team, you got to beat a defending world champ. You got to defeat a defending world or Olympic medalist, that type of stuff. And it's happening now, on the women's side where, okay, you got to knock off a former, world medalist. Now you got to knock off a former, world champ or world team member, or whatever the case may be, to make the team and put yourself in that position. So it's awesome to see. It's great.
Yeah, and we don't want those young athletes coming in and taking a back seat, right? We want them pushing their way and trying to make these teams, right? I mean, so it's important. It's important to have that, and I think our veterans understand the importance of that. And so what I really like about our veteran group right now is they want to help. They want to help the younger group, and it hasn't always been like that, right? Some people want to protect their spot and preserve their place, and I don't see that with this group of veteran athletes that we have on our team. Of course, they want to stay in their position as long as they want to, but they're also willing to help, and they're also willing to teach and share their knowledge, and that's a special thing when you start to see that, because what they're going to learn from a Sarah Hildebrandt and a Jakara Winchester and a Kayla Miracle and a Adeline Gray and people like that. I mean, they're going to listen a little bit more than they are to a coach saying things from the sideline, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's a special thing to have a group of athletes working together from our U15 to U17 to U20 all the way up through our senior level, and it's great. It's a great. I love the energy of our program right now and how people are giving back to each other. Right.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think the results of even how we did this year and the year prior says a lot to how some of those veterans are pouring into our younger athletes. I mean, we had Amit Allure, who, when she won last year, I'm pretty sure you can maybe correct me if you know better, but she was the youngest world champion that we've had in the U.S. On the men's and women's side collectively. And then this year, Macy Kilty, she's a little bit older than Amit, but still like Amit won gold this year, Macy won silver. So two of the most successful, highest medaling athletes that were in the tournament this year were also two of our youngest. And I feel like that probably has a lot to say about how some of these older athletes are pouring into the younger ones as well.
Sure. And there's some back home that are thinking they should be in those spots, right? And so it's pretty special to see. Yeah. I mean, she accomplished she's the youngest person in U.S. history, male or female, to win back-to-back titles, right? Mm-hmm. And she's going now think about this, she's gone for her 6th world title in 2 years. At the U23 Worlds. She won the U20s last year, the U23s, and the senior. And this year she's won the U20s and the senior level already, and has, in about a week and a half we leave for U23s. So she's trying to get that trifecta 2 years in a row. So it's pretty special.
Man,
that's insane.
Yeah, and she's, Mike, I don't know if you know, but at least 19 years old.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you think, Coach, what do you think that is like also for, traditionally, especially on our women's side, it's been, women that are kind of late in their wrestling career to achieve this type of success. Like, do you think it requires a different level of maturity or puts a different type of pressure on a young person? Or do you think it's different for them?
For someone like Amit, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
First, how many people at 19 years old can handle what she's handled, right?
Yeah.
And believe in themselves to the level she believes in herself, right? I mean, you can have the skill and technique, but to believe in yourself is a whole different thing, right? And for her to do what she's done and do it in a very, very humble way, right? And just going about her business, and she's very workmanlike, and just goes about her business, and very humble person, and it's awesome. She's already a leader, and she's 19 years old. Right?
Yeah.
So we need that. We need that leadership.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's so cool to have girls like that in our country to look up to. Like, you don't have to be 23, 24, 25 in order to be, a world Olympic champion. You can, if you do play your cards right and keep your head down and work hard the way you're supposed to, you can do it at 18 or 19 years old.
Yeah, I think the bigger concern for me with Amit is let's go about this the right way. Let's manage our schedule a little bit, and we don't have to be in every event, right?
For sure.
We
Yeah,
don't
I'm sure
do
burnout
too
is gonna.
much, and we want to keep her around for as long as we can, right? And so we don't have to do everything right now, right? And then it's hard to say that because she's gone for a 6th world title in 2 years.
I was like, look at that one.
She also needs time off, right? She also needs
Yeah.
time away from the sport and to enjoy life and to understand the accomplishments that she's already had and to appreciate that, right? And not just chase the next title, right? And really trying to help her under, there's life here too, right? And you have to enjoy this, because if you're not enjoying it, then it doesn't matter what you accomplish, right? And so, well, we want to make sure that she's enjoying what she's doing and having some time away and really appreciating what she's doing. And so I think that's more of my concern right now. I think her wrestling, she'll take care of that. And I think more our job is to manage the schedule a little bit and make sure we're not overdoing it.
Yeah, sure. Man, this is such great advice, even for a lot of our listeners and wrestlers.
Oh,
and this is just pure gold that we're getting out of Coach Terry Steiner. So, Mike, is there
especially in a day and age right now where it's, I mean, the more matches you wrestle, the more matches you wrestle, the better it is for you. I mean, yeah, let's do 125 matches this year.
And that's it's great. Weird because it's a very American mindset, right? Yeah. And if you talking to one of the Georgian coaches, and they have very little women's wrestling, but the Georgian men's coach have become very good friends with, and he talks about that they believe in the country of Georgia that you have 10 to 12 years of high competitive level wrestling or competitive years in you, right? So do you want to put that when a kid's 8 to 20, or do you want to start a kid when he's 14 and go to their 26 or something like that? But when are you going to get to that peak? It's going to be at some point, and then kids are going to fall off a little bit. And so, in the country of Georgia, they don't even wrestle outside of their country at all. And they can't even go, I think, to a national tournament until they're 12 years old. Wow. Right? They just they limit that competition. Now they're training probably and doing all that and building their bodies and their minds and their wrestling technique and all that. But as far as really wrestling them a ton and getting them a bunch of matches, it's just not it's not what they do. And really, if you look at the country of Georgia, for as small of a country as they are, both in men's freestyle and men's Greco, they're always in the top 5, always, and so I really, paid attention to that. And I really, it's really, they're kind of an anomaly out there. I think they do a lot with probably very little financially, very little from human resources side of things, but they're very patient with it, right? And they raise them up the right way. And I think that's something that we can learn from, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of, you say burnout in this country, and it comes from too much too soon, right? And we see it way too often. Yep. And so, and hey, I'm all for. I mean, I'm a wrestling guy through and through. But I remember when I was back in college. I remember right after college, my brother and I coached. We were competing still internationally, but we coached the Hawkeye Wrestling Club, the kids club, one year. And I remember after one practice, Coach Gable pulled us aside and he said, "You just need to remember that, you have 40 kids out there. Maybe not one of them is like you, right? So understand that the most important thing you're going to give them is a love for the sport, a passion for the sport. They have to fall in love with their wrestling coaches. They have to fall in love with their wrestling teammates. They have to fall in love with being in this wrestling room. And if you can get them hooked on the sport, you can teach them forever.
Yeah.
But if you never get them hooked, you're going to lose them along the way. And I think that too many times we're such in a hurry for results.
Yep.
And it's really something that I've always thought back to and brought with me on my coaching career, is that you got to bring people along as they need to be brought along, and everyone is different, right? Maybe one kid can handle it, another kid can't, and it's okay. Everyone has their own time of development, and just understand that each kid is different, right?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
that gets so caught up in the accomplishment along the way. Right?
Yeah, especially something as hard as wrestling.
Yeah, no, you can't. If
You're hit it right in the head. I mean, the 13 years. I mean, at like just putting your all into the sport of wrestling. That is, wow, that's a long time. I
it's a
mean,
long time.
it's just something that's difficult as wrestling is. It's
Yeah.
just yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gable said that, huh? Yeah, I think he had a couple
Yeah.
good things.
Yeah, he did a few things.
He knew a little bit about wrestling, I think.
A little bit.
He was he was a decent coach. He was all right. He was all right. He wasn't bad. Kenya, what else you got for our guy here?
Man, I'm just so grateful we got to have you on for a little bit. We won't keep you forever. I mean, how cool is it? We just get to have you on and maybe throw little prompts here and there, and we'll just let you take the show and tell us everything you want to tell us. And it's been pure gold. So thanks so much for joining us, Coach.
Yeah.
Coach Steiner, always awesome seeing you.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's just usually at a national tournament or at the state leaders summit when I see him, but it's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
All right. Yep.
Okay.
Steiner,
right,
appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
You got it. Take care now.
You bet.
Yeah, man. I mean, I tell you, there's not a better guy to be running any program, anybody, I'm just telling you, because I mean, that's one of the things, like, I mean, I was very, very fortunate, to be on the University of Iowa team for 4.5 years is what I spent my time in. And everybody always asked me what it was like, and it was like a lot of, the relationships that I built, there, that was the most important. Obviously I had zero All-American and national championship accumulations by all means, but I accumulated just amazing friendships, and people would always ask me about certain what's this person like? But everybody, I mean, there would be a corporate response that Terry and his brother Troy were two of the best human beings that we had, and just awesome, best teammates. I mean, the examples that they set, and just from a work ethic standpoint alone, I mean, when he took over that women's program, it was a no-brainer. I mean, I was like, at some point in time, they're going to be really, 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 really good, really good. And it's just the way it is. I mean, we're in great hands with him. So it's awesome.
I agree. I mean, just being able to like sit in his presence and soak up all of his wisdom feels like I should be paying money to be hanging out here with him and listening to what Coach Steiner.
Oh, yeah, to make a little donation to the Tennessee USA Wrestling Fund there, Kenya.
Yeah, thanks. I'd appreciate it.
You're donating your time though, and that's the thing. That's okay. I mean, it's like I said, man, heck, we got comments on here now. Shoot, I was doing the podcast last year. I was doing the podcast last year though, and yeah, I was doing it on Zoom. I didn't have this fancy StreamYard thing.
Yeah.
So
cool.
just I mean, listeners, we've upped our production here, upped our show because we got a great co-host on, and even got the co-host a new microphone last week, so she comes in even louder and clearer now.
I feel like I should be like
got the stove ball, yes sir. But man, I tell you what a great episode, huh? I mean, Sean Russell's doing a fantastic job here. He's doing some great stuff here in Tennessee. We're very appreciative of him, and then of course, having a guy like Terry Steiner on here. I mean, shoot.
Oh. It was such a perfect pair. Like at first I was like, oh, how are we going to connect these two things? But it was like, I mean, Coach Steiner did it without even knowing who we had on, and just talking about how important it is to have people at the local level to be developing these athletes. Because I mean, the kids in high school are going to be our world and Olympic team someday. So it's so cool to be able to like see both sides of, development on the senior level and then development still here on the small size local level. It's important.
Some good girls coming out here in Tennessee. Little Cooper Hilton's sister Caroline's a hammer. She trains at Minion Girl.
Okay,
and then of course we got world champ here in Tennessee too, Piper Fowler. So so we got a little bit of something going on here.
We're on the map.
Yeah, we got something going on here. I mean, shoot, here in Tennessee, we're getting there.
Yeah.
So but that wraps it up. I think for this show. Always a pleasure, Kenya.
Yeah. Thanks.
Next week I think we got a couple things in the works. I'm trying to get a little freestyle side representation on the senior level. I haven't gotten a hold of my boy Zadok yet, so hopefully we can get him on here soon. He probably overseas traveling somewhere. Dude, between him and Steiner, man, I want those freaking flyer miles. That's all I got to say.
Oh yeah.
I can negotiate. having Steiner and Zanuck on here and kind of selling them how big of a pleasure it is to be on the Tennessee USA Wrestling podcast. Miles.
Yeah, seriously.
Those dudes are on the road. That's crazy. People don't know how much those guys travel. It's nuts.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
crazy.
I mean,
What's going?
All the time. Abby always talks about when she travels with Terry, she'll pass him because he always gets upgraded to class just because of how many miles. And they're all, all the national teams huddled in the back, and then there he is, like, probably sipping on maybe if it were you, it'd be a martini with his feet with his feet propped up and a blanket.
Oh, that's my deal. I can't see. I can't do these overs. The AAU group wanted me to go to Brazil this past August.
That sounds like
they wanted me to go to Brazil, be like part of the coaching staff and stuff like that. I'm like, nah, I'm good. You guys like, what? This isn't a USAAU thing, is it? I'm like, no, I just don't. When I go to Brazil, I'm not. I mean,
I want to go to Brazil.
I got to wake up for weigh-ins. I got to go practice. I got to go to competition. That's like it's the middle of the day. I mean, shoot, that's
my goodness.
Down the happy hour. Come on. I mean, don't mean nothing against the kids.
I'll
go to Fargo when there's nothing to do. I'll go to Fargo and actually be actively participating in a place like Fargo because there's nothing else to do there.
There's nothing else to do.
Put me in a situation in like Las Vegas, like for that type of stuff.
They'll be at weigh-ins or
overseas in Brazil.
There's like, where's Coach Hatcher?
Yeah, he's let's give him a placement. So I don't even know what I would contribute to a trip like that. So I just kind of buy out. So it's good.
You have plenty to contribute. I'm positive.
But always a pleasure, Kenya.
Yeah.
Let's we'll like I said, I know we got some stuff going on in Tennessee here this next week. So I know next week we'll
regardless, same time, same place next week.
Same place. I hope everybody again smash that. What is it? Smash the like button, subscribe button.
Yeah.
We need subscribers on this on Tennessee USA Wrestling, and we're getting more. Keep it rolling. It's all about the kids, and actually coaches this time. Coaches could have got a lot out of that last half hour with Steiner.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah. Awesome.
All right.
Kenya, anything else for the good of the order? We it's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. We will see you next week.
All right. Bye, guys.
All right. See ya.